and welcome to my kitchen. Today is going to be a busy weekend. This afternoon we have our town's Christmas parade that we're planning on going to. And tomorrow my son has his Christmas choir with the church. And after church we're having a cookies and snack, like coffee time, just a meet and greet so everybody can visit before we really get deep into the Christmas season and everything that's going on. So anyway, my son had asked me to make a mixed snack tray with several different things. The first one he requested was my meringue mushrooms. You guys have seen me make meringue several times, so I'm not going to go into depth on that. But we will be making a few other goodies today. So let's get started. I've got my baking tray lined with parchment paper. I've already got one tray in the oven and I refilled my piping bag. So to make a mushroom tip, you just want to press down. Don't pull up when you're making your cap. Don't pull up on the icing bag. Just keep it close to the parchment paper. Now for a stem, I don't know if you can see any of that. For a stem, you want to press down to give it a little bit of a base and then pull up a little bit so that you've got the whole stem. You've got filtered water here. And I'm just going to push, just dip my fingertip in that water and just slightly push that pointed peak down in, smoothing it out a little bit. Those are all caps. These are the ones I want to do it on. You don't want to use too much water because it will change the consistency of the meringue. But you want to be able to not have the meringue stick to your finger. I have my oven preheated to the lowest setting. And these are going to go in for at least an hour. All right, these are ready to go in and I'll get my next tray filled. Now to glue our mushroom stems to the little caps, I've just melted a little bit of chocolate chip with coconut oil. I'm going to take a toothpick, just poke a little hole in the flat bottom of my cap here. And then I'll take a stem. Oh, I dipped a little more than I wanted to. Dip the end of it in chocolate and just hold it. Now that chocolate's going to dry and it will glue that cap on. Now these little meringue mushrooms, are my go-to for if we're doing the Yule log cake or we just want a nice little meringue cookie that's cute. I make the mushrooms. Now for this next dessert, you're going to want to take 2 pieces of bacon and cut them up pretty small and then fry them until they are done but not too crispy. So I'm just going to cut them up about this size. And it'll melt the fat off when you cook it. As soon as they get nice and done, pull them off and let them drain on a paper towel and cool. We've got our bacon fried up and draining, so I'm going to set this to the side. Now, this recipe we ran across a couple of years ago at a reptile show of all places, and my son and I absolutely fell in love with it. So this is how we make our maple bacon fudge. Now, a great thing about this recipe is you do not have to have real maple syrup. I prefer it made with real maple syrup, but it calls for 2 cups and I don't have 2 cups on hand. Do not use pancake syrup. That is not the same thing. So for this, you need 1 14-ounce can of sweetened condensed milk. Get that in the pan here. And when you cut these, you're going to want to cut them in small pieces because they are very rich. Get all of this condensed milk out. Then I'm going to want 3 tablespoons. 1, 2, 3. 3 tablespoons of butter. Put that right in there. Move this out of the way. And 1 package of white chocolate. And a pinch of salt. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. Now I'm going to put this on medium-low, and I'm going to stir it and let this melt until it all gets smooth and melted. And while this is starting to melt, I have taken a square baking pan and I've just lined it with parchment paper and sprayed a little bit of olive oil. Now this part just takes a few minutes. We are almost to the right thickness. It's almost all melted, but not quite. Alright, everything is melted and we're starting to get a few small bubbles coming up. So at this point I want to set my timer for 5 minutes. My timer has gone off, so I've pulled this off of the heat. You can see it's still smooth, but starting to thicken up. So I want to take half a teaspoon of vanilla. And then a teaspoon, stir that in, a teaspoon of maple extract. And mix that in. Alright, I've got that all mixed in. Now I am going to transfer to my pan. You want to make sure you get all of this yummy goodness out. And then just kind of smooth it into your pan. Now take your bacon and just sprinkle it over the top. press it down in a little bit if you want. Now we're going to let this cool for just a little bit, and then we'll put it in the fridge and let it chill for several hours. So look at that. It smells amazing. All right, I'm going to get this ready to put in the fridge. This fudge looks amazing, and it's starting to set up. I'm going to leave it sit overnight, and it will be ready for church in the morning. Thank you for joining me today, and happy baking.